Hello everyone, welcome to another speedrun game against Jiaboy Baba, rated 1168. Yes, let's get a King's Gambit, our official first King's Gambit. Please take the pawn and accept. People do not like accepting this for some reason. Yes, let's go. He takes it. So now, it's extremely important in the King's Gambit to not allow tomfoolery on the h4 square. So let's start by developing our knight, and not by pushing the pawn or getting the bishop out, because we want to control that square. So he goes d6. This is one of the popular setups when they take the pawn. They just want to develop their bishop and kind of play a normal game. We'll put two pawns in the center, open up the attack on the pawn. He does go here. We will take our pawn back, and now we have the pawn duo, an semi-open f-file for later. Two pieces out, open diagonal, and this is what the King's Gambit's about. Activity, f-file. Queen development, blocking his own bishop. What's the threat? The threat is the pawn. What's the drawback? It's a queen move. It's always susceptible to a two-turn knight jump. I don't like the move. It blocks his bishop, and we want to develop anyway here with our knight. It defends it. It comes with future jumps. I already really like white's position. And so people always say King's Gambit's bad, but King's Gambit's good. So he plays c6. I guess he's just trying to stop my knight from jumping into the hole, which makes some sense, but we just get to continue developing. No problem. No problem. Let's put the question to his bishop and say, hey guy, are you going to take the knight or what? It's a move that gives our dark square bishop a little home. He takes, which helps develop our queen. So probably not the right decision. And now look, we have a beautiful position and we're ready to castle long. We love castling long. Extremely energetic. It gets away from any weaknesses on the dark squares. He pushes saying, hey, you can't take because you're in a pin. Drawback, he just keeps making pawn moves. It doesn't matter if we even let him win a pawn because he's so undeveloped compared to our activity. Pawn's not going to matter. Having said that, we don't need to. He can't win a pawn, right? It's well defended. We can push. We can protect. But even if we did lose a pawn somehow, who cares? So I'm in a long castle and gain activity. And our position is overwhelming, completely crushing by move 9 in the King's Gambit. So he takes. Now, you could take back, right? You could take back. But A, you don't want to take back with your queen when his king is weak, right? He wants to queen trade when his king is weak, not you. B, if you just take with the knight, it's okay, but what about rook e1? Boom. Right? That might be even stronger. The only thing is you have to consider, can he defend it with a pawn? f5. Well, queen h5, g6. Maybe he can try to solidify, right? So in that case, having looked at that, then we'll choose the knight. He's likely to just develop and offer some trades. But instead, he gives up his queen. Huh? So I said in the first speed run, I'm skipping past 600 and 800 elo because of all the people who hang their queens. And I'm starting at around 1200. And then in the first game yesterday, the guy hung his queen to my bishop. And in this game, he hung his queen again. I specifically chose 1200, so let me just double check quickly. We can probably just get another game. It says it's a mistake. Okay. Yeah, we're already plus 2.3 here. Let's get another game. making sure it's recording because the last 2 times it wasn't. So now we have a Scandinavian. So we got a King's Gambit and a Scandinavian. And unlike our other speedruns, I think we're going to be getting a repertoire a lot. You know, a lot of other times people were avoiding our Kalashnikov Sicilian. We almost never got it, but I feel like we're going to get our openings all the time now because you can't avoid it. If they go e4, it's Scandinavian, case closed, right? So now Queen a5 is our move in the Scandi. White setup is generally both the knights out and d4. Black setup, it's like a typical Caro-Kann looking setup, but without a pawn on d5. So if you know about the Caro-Kann, it will help you think about what to do with your pieces here. Just you don't have that pawn on d5. So now he has the regular setup. We want to close the pawn chain and castle, but we don't want to block our bishop. So let's bring it out first to this active diagonal. Prepare e6. And one funny thing to notice is that it's defended. So if he plays bishop d3, we don't need to immediately react. We can wait a turn because if he takes, we'll just recapture with our queen, not the pawn. But he goes to c4, trying to be active and preparing castling. So now we blunt the bishop, try to prepare castling of our own with e6. We want to put our bishop to e7. He castles. Let's do that, which helps block any e-file pressure, but we're going to castle anyway. Putting it on d6, potentially vulnerable to some stuff in the future. I'm not sure it belongs there, and also I think it's just simpler on e7. He develops the bishop, which I guess targets the c-pawn. Okay, I think we should just castle. I don't really see a problem. And now normally in the Scandinavian, you oftentimes see c6 to give the queen some squares, but there's also something like a6 and c5. a6 to control the b5 square from his pieces, c5 to equalize white's central space advantage. But instead of keeping his central space advantage, as soon as I say it, he pushes and gets rid of his space advantage for my 6th rank pawn. And now he just equalized for us. The second he does this and we take and there's no pawns here and he has no extra space, black equalizes and it's just a normal game. But equalizing by move 9 is nice, right? So he pushes. I mean, we're obviously going to take his strong pawn with our weaker pawn. And this is going to lead to some minor piece trades, which again should benefit black in the quest of equalizing in the opening. He takes, applying double pressure. We don't want double pressure. We also want to free up some space for our position. He takes with the bishop. What is the threat? He has pressure here. He has pressure here. But as mentioned, we're more than happy to play c6. And now it comes with tempo and removes both ideas. So we like it. He retreats to this natural diagonal. Makes sense. We have one minor piece we haven't touched. So I think we should maybe prioritize that. But it would be a little bit loosey-goosey. So keep it in mind. Because it's only defended by the bishop. If he harasses the bishop, like so, because naturally you would want to drop back here if it's ever attacked, but that would undefend the knight. But his knight would be blocking his queen. He can't go the other way because it's covered. You could also maybe start with rook d8, but you want your other rook there, so let's bring the knight out. Also, the bishop's defended by the queen, so I guess you can let him take it. Do I want to give him that bishop? I could probably just drop it back. There's no need because... Oh, maybe he's going to kamikaze. Yeah, if he kamikazes and I take the knight, he then gets this and with a much better position. He'll have the much better position. So let's let him take this and continue our development. Let's now get this knight out of harm's way. Put it, we could put it on its most natural square. We could attack his light square bishop in return and keep this open for our bishop, which is kind of nice. I'm going to stay flexible with the knight. I'm going to put my bishop here because I really like this diagonal. I'm going to put a rook on d8, a rook on e8, and my position looks good. So he takes, we take, and now we're attacking his bishop and this pawn in the corner. We have a harmonious setup, and okay, he has the bishop pair, which is a tiny asset on paper, but it's just that, a tiny asset on paper. So it's not actually going to matter at all. It's just a verbal thing that grandmasters say that other people have no idea how you could actually use that in your game. So c3, blunting our bishop and hanging his own. Missing the forest for the trees. How does that saying go? If we take it, he's going to take our knight, but there's no way that, well, maybe that does work for him. Maybe this guy's Tarzan swinging through the forest and I'm missing it. But it can't be good. It has to be terrible. I don't know. I don't buy what he's doing. Okay. Okay, so now that we're up a clean piece on move 17, because he prioritized moving the bishop that was defended twice and left the bishop that was defended 0 times, he now attacks our knight because he's in a rage from losing the piece, creating severe weaknesses in his position that are irreparable because pawns don't go back. We're going to ignore him and intermezzo the queen, as counterattacking moves are the best moves in chess. He puts his queen on a ridiculous square, blocking his rook so that it can never get out, just to give me this random check that I can let him do, move my king over, and what was the point of that? To win that pawn? That's just insane. So, we could go for material. We could improve. We could move our knight out of the attack. Like we get a pawn, he gets a knight, we get a rook, he gets a bishop. 6 for 6. We're already up 3. We can infiltrate after. You normally don't trade 2 minor pieces for a rook, especially one that's in the corner. Like, okay, objectively, this is definitely not best, but you can definitely do it as well. And I'm going to show you that. I'm going to show you that. 2 minor pieces for the rook, especially a terrible rook when your minor piece is great. You don't want to do that. But because we're up an entire piece, and we're going to have a great resulting position, I'm going to show you. So this rook is actually stuck, so we don't need to take it yet. Instead, we can continue with those moves I was mentioning, tying down his rook. So now that's 5 points of material he can't use because he gets instamated. So this is exactly why I didn't take the rook. If I would have taken the rook, he would just take back. But I knew he would be tempted to grab the pawn. I move my king. And what's he going to do? Go back, waste 2 full turns? That's terrible. And if he doesn't go back, I take the rook and he hangs the bishop as well. So I was kind of luring him into this because he gets the worst of both worlds if he takes. He kicks our queen because he probably wants to develop the rook, but I mean, what? I'm just going to move the queen and maintain everything, and now we even have double pressure on the corner, which is more awkward for white to deal with. It may say material's even, but material's not even, right? Because we're going to take this rook when we feel like it. Also, his bishop's in trouble if he doesn't retreat it. The thing is, he has nothing to play for, like no ideas. His only active idea is to somehow get the bishop to a fianchetto square and just eat my pawns, but that doesn't even do anything. Like, okay, so he goes here. Maybe he's listening to me. through my walls. And we could take the rook, but again, it's not going anywhere. So we're going to go here. This threatens to take and pick up the bishop. It also develops a brand new piece into the game, so we can add more pressure and then not take the rook maybe and add even more pressure. Until he moves the queen, giving the rook space, I'm not going to take it. So he goes here. So he's just tethering himself. So now if I take this, his bishop becomes undefended, so he's collapsed. You could increase the pressure, which also hits the bishop and the pawn. I mean, this is crazy. We have so many devastating moves. So do we go here? Do we just take? I mean, this is just free material, so. So now we're just up an entire rook. Unless he decides to take, in which case we'll be up our original piece again, but with queen trade and complete liquidation and infiltration. This is, wait, what did he do? We took a rook. He took our b pawn. I said this was his active idea, but not in this scenario. You can't just give up your rook like that, followed by your bishop. That's crazy, because there's nothing even here. But okay, you take my a pawn, then what? Even if I let you run your pawn, you get 6 free moves. It still doesn't. I don't know. Anyway, let's take his free stuff. We're going to attack f2 and checkmate his king. Oh, that's a queen blunder. 3 games in a row. Every speedrun game on this new thing, we've gotten them hanging their queen. I specifically went into the 1200s to get rid of the queen hanging games, and now in all the games they're hung their queen. So we get a Scandinavian. This is the main move. It's obvious. Queen a5 is our follow-up. See, you don't have to memorize this. We already know it. So theory starts after this because we know this, right? If someone says Scandi, you know the opening moves, queen a5. You don't have to study it or memorize it. It's already available information in your brain. So maybe here you're unsure. You don't know automatically what the moves are, right? Or maybe you know 2 or 3 more. But I mentioned it. The setup is bring the knight out, the bishop out, close the pawn chain, develop your bishop, castle. c6, knight b7. It's very standard, simple, right? Do we bring out a piece towards the center? Development and center. Center and development. Development and king safety. King safety and development. And then he just equalizes the space advantage, and black is just as good as white at this point. No opening advantage for white. Perfect. He takes. This now leads to a bunch of trades, which is good for black to give space to the position and to remove his active pieces, which are congregating in the center. Okay, c6, improving our position for free, blunting the bishop. Now development in center. Improving a piece, center, and kind of for free. He takes, force move, completely equal game. Improving a piece for free because we will take the bishop pair from him. And then he immediately blunders. Now the engine says, oh yeah, of course, we took the bishop. Yeah, he's hanging the bishop. So now he goes from an even game to -4. He should have obviously saved this bishop, let us take this, opened up his rook, and it's still a game. We move our rooks to the center, he moves his queen somewhere, I don't even know, and we play. Very equalish. But he hangs a piece. We can just position further, improve a piece for free. Free stuff for free. It's -5. You see, and this is even the thing. So, same evaluation as top move is bishop takes, giving up 2 pieces for the rook. So, this in the standard knowledge, they tell you don't give up the bishop and knight here for this pawn and this rook in those fried liver type setups. because in the middle game, those pieces will be more useful. But this is a different scenario. It's not the same, which is the point I was trying to make. So we take the pawn, willing to give these two up, and maybe not even take the rook, depending if we would rather add pressure on f2. He takes. Now you can obviously take the rook. We try to be a little bit fancy, improving our position with restriction and a bind. He gets greedy, but this is just bad for him. Force move. Okay, he hits our queen, so force move. He goes back, and now development center for free. He goes back, and yeah, you could do anything you want. But we just take the rook at -6. Free stuff. This was a terrible decision, going pawn grabbing and just giving me your entire army. It's funny that bishop d4 and rook takes f2 are even better than taking the free bishop, but it makes a lot of sense because he also has back rank problems. So if he takes, he's in a world of hurt, right? So we have a mate in 10 here. We just take the free stuff at -8. Then he blunders his queen, and okay. So I got the clocks back on the layout. Hopefully you guys are enjoying this. I'm excited for all the King's Gambit games to come and learning the Scandinavian because I've never played it. So good luck in your chess. Submit your rapid games in my Discord. Goodbye.